Ever seen it? Okay, patient, good, perfect, perfect. So we're gonna talk about making and receiving offers, which Josh will be doing during this class, because he's got some offers coming in on a listing that he has, so that's good stuff. Let's see, so, and I apologize, Brian called me at 8 o'clock this morning to tell me I was teaching this class, so I'm not prepared, so I'll be reading a lot. I apologize.
I didn't realize this is perfect timing.
Yeah, it is.
In the class with what's going on.
That's right. So it says the last class, y'all talked about working with buyers and sellers, is that right? All the way from the agreement to getting an offer. So today we're going to cover the offer process. We're going to cover the steps to submit an offer as the buyer's agent and reviewing the offer as the listing agent, which is what you're doing. Alrighty, so let's skip to the next one because y'all aren't doing the daily success systems yet, are you?
Do I do that?
So then you're not. Okay. So do we all know the Y4C2Ts?
Yes.
Yes, no, yes.
I thought it was the Wi-Fi connection.
It is the password. All right, as you see, nope, you don't see it. Leah said, congratulations, Josh. You don't see the chat up there. I apologize. So the Y4C2Ts is our belief system at Keller Williams. It's not just for business, it's for personal life. It's very important to me. I know that, of course, of being in leadership, we try to follow this in all of our deals with agents and also in with situations outside the office. And just reading through them real quick, win-win or no deal. Of course, that means you don't try to make it a win-lose. You try to make everything a win-win. It's the best for both parties. Integrity, always do the right thing. You always hear, even when nobody's watching, you do the right thing. That's character. My grandmother said, always act like everybody's watching you all the time. Customers always come first. Does that mean customers are right? No. Us being honest and direct with our customers and clients is putting them first. Commitment in all things, pardon my French, but is also my grandmother would say, if anything's worth doing, is worth doing 100%. If you're going to half-ass it, don't do it. That's a direct quote from my grandmother, 7,642 times that I heard as a child.
That all?
That's it. Usually around cleaning my bedroom. So communication, seek first to understand. For me, that always means understand where the people you're talking to are coming from, right? Jesse may be talking to me frustrated one day but it may be because something bad's going on at home. It could be something, family, friend members in trouble. It may have nothing to do with me, right? Your clients are 99% going to be, if they're upset or in a tough spot or probably be in the laundry with you, it's probably not anything to do with you. So step back, take a breath, understand where they're coming from, seek first to understand, and talk to them in that manner. Does that make sense? You're responsible for the way you talk. They're responsible for the way they talk. Creativity, you always have ideas before results. You can't start at the top of the pyramid. You have to build your base. That's your idea to get the results, right? Teamwork, together everyone achieves more. Now, if you're a solo agent, you still have a team, right? Because you still have people working with you in the office. You have other agents in the office. You have leadership in the office, but you also have your family. Your family is part of your team as well because they understand what you're going through. Trust always starts with honesty. You want to be a trustworthy people. People will work with people they like and trust. Equity, opportunities for all. The best way I like to describe this one is like looking over a fence. And I'll pick on Hoover because he's short. And it's like if there was an 8-foot fence and Hoover and I were trying to look over it and they both gave us a milk carton to stand on. Like I might be able to see over it, but he still wouldn't. Right? So that's equality, giving everybody the same thing. Equity is giving people what they need. So Hoover might need 3 or 4 milk crates to stand, or I may need 1. Does that make sense? The difference in equity and equality. Equality, we give everybody the same thing. Equity, we give people what they need to succeed. Right. And success is results through people. Again, that's not all you, but people are in your life that are helping you succeed. And you get those results through people, not just through yourself. So that is our belief system. It's been with our company for 35 years. Then it'll be,
Change.
they added equity in 2019.
Okay.
Mhm. They will not take any away.
Mhm.
But it didn't change the Y4C2Ts because it just added the E in there, which made it actually a little more correct in the way they say it. So- All right, so yes,
What's the fourth?
there's 4 Cs.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there's customers.
So then we're
I get the C, not the Y.
Correct.
I'm thinking Y4, and I'm like, cause how you say it.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Y4.
and so I'm like, so it's the Y and then 4 C.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Y4C, 2Ts. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yes. So I make my ALC memorize these, by the way. Because you always want to lead by example, right? It's the best way you lead by is example. Don't care what you tell your kids, they're going to do what they see you do, not what you say, right? And a lot of times they won't do anything right anyway, but we know that. So by the end of the session today, you will know how to communicate with your buyers, sellers, and your co-agent during the process, the offer process. You'll understand best practices for making and receiving offers in your market. And start thinking about what you will learn today to consider some questions you might have, and you'll see if the class answers those questions. I like to think of sales as the ability to gracefully persuade, not manipulate, a person or persons into a win-win situation. You like that, Josh?
Gracefully.
Gracefully persuade.
I think it's the same thing that we say in the military,
As what?
in the military.
Yeah.
As a supply guy, whenever we need things, we always have to go acquire it.
Yeah.
Even though you're supposed to take it.
Right.
It's the same thing, persuade,
We're gonna-
manipulate, same.
We're gonna acquire that. Yeah.
That's what- it just makes you laugh. 'cause
Just
it's back in the
because-
military.
Just because I'm threatening violence on you to acquire it.
We don't ever take things, we acquire things.
That's right. Just a lot nicer way of saying it. But if you have the mindset of it, then it changes your mindset because that's true, because what they do is they build that into you and you don't think it's wrong, even though it might be wrong at the time.
And
Yeah,
so right there, I'm thinking persuade, manipulate, same thing.
same thing. They're synonyms. They're synonyms. So we're going to start by covering the offer process. So this is the process. This process is also in your participants guide, so y'all can turn to the page if you can see it. So what emotions do buyers and sellers have at this stage of the process?
Excitement.
Yeah, excitement.
Anxiety.
I have a list of them here, and if you get one of them, I'm gonna laugh a little bit because it's just a weird word that we don't say daily. Anxiety is one.
Cold feet.
Yeah, caution.
Once they make the offer, I don't know if you're talking before they make the offer or after, but usually once they make the offer, sometimes buyer's remorse, like they think that I made a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they put, the answers they put for possible answers, and you all are allowed to blurt in Zoom land. The possible answers they put were excitement, worry, anxiety, caution, impatience, and trepidation. Because we say trepidation every day, right? So yeah, when emotions run hot for others, it's our job to remain professional and put together. And this is kind of where my umpiring kicks in, I think, because we always have to be the calm, right? Coach comes out screaming and hollering. I've got to be the calm, because if I mirror his emotions, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
It's going to be ugly. There's going to be fines. I'm going to be on YouTube. It's going to be crazy.
Is that what you have in the back of your head all the time?
Yeah.
I don't want to end up on YouTube.
Right, exactly right.
I get it.
But it's the same thing. If your clients come at you high emotion and you mirror their high emotion, if you mirror their anxiety, if you mirror their rush, it's just going to escalate it. You've got to be the professional and the calm and bring them back to understanding and realism. Does that make sense? So that's part of what we do. So, that's part, like communicating with your clients in a timely manner through this process will lower their anxiety. Do we agree with that?
Man, my seller was getting a little anxious because after the Friday we had, literally they were gone all day long. That's
Yeah.
how many showings they had. And so they were getting anxious, he was getting anxious right then, they didn't have an offer yet. And I had to tell him, fine, trust the process, we still got an open house and all that, and then after the open house, he was anxious, but I'm like, relax, calm down,
Mhm.
and then here we go today, the day after, people thinking about it, getting offers in.
Mm-hmm,
So it's like I had to tell them, calm down, you're good.
yeah,
You don't always get an offer right when they see it.
well, that's true. That's true. And they're gonna sit on the market a little bit longer nowadays. I mean, I know yours is getting offers now, but they're still getting multiple offers, but you know, like Bo was talking about in Bold, you know, typically, you know, a balanced market, they're liable to sit on the market for 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, that's nice to, I feel like tall sellers, especially now, because I think so many of them are thinking it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so saying, you know, obviously, we're not in a balanced market now, but in a balanced market, like, who's gonna sit for 4 to 6 months?
Yeah, well, people don't realize that they only realize what is a good memory for them, right?
Mhm.
So they remember COVID, interest rates were 2.5,
Sure.
houses were selling in 8 minutes,
Mhm.
you know, and you know,
See it outside the cardboard
Right.
boxes for sale.
yeah, and that's not real.
Right.
You know, that was,
Unicorn years.
yes, and that's not gonna happen anymore. So we have to educate our buyers and sellers at the beginning of the process in the listing and buying presentations.
You say you've been eight, 5.
Oh, God.
How many
less than
years?
2.
Oh, less than
Yeah.
2?
So-
So you weren't, I thought, we were talking.
No, no, I didn't get to experience any of that, but I heard it was really
Okay.
great. No,
Yeah.
I came in September of 22.
That'll be good.
We might close one deal before the end of the year.
How many of those
That's
people have you heard or know left the business? Was that?
A lot,
Oh, I'm sure.
You know,
a lot.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a number, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
I started March of.
Did
Yeah.
you?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they,
Is something good then?
yes,
I
that's
mean,
when they started.
after
That's when COVID hit. March 16th was the-
Experience, like, some good
Yeah.
selling and all that.
Yeah, well, March 16th was the COVID shutdown of 2020.
Right.
Mhm.
I know, because I got married February 28th of 2020.
Oh, wow.
And we couldn't go on our honeymoon because of the COVID shutdown.
Mhm.
Yeah. It
Cruise.
was crazy. Prices skyrocketing and interest rates were dropping.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I got, because I bought our house to live in 2020, July of 2020.
Yeah.
Oh, mhm.
So we were so surprised that we even got the house.
Yeah,
Well,
Well,
being in the office for a long time, so I'm digging up everything I can to try to learn some stuff.
but did we have any ahas from the beginning of that class there? I know we kind of strayed away a second there. We didn't go over a bunch, but we did have some good conversations, I thought.
I think just being aware of, like, we do this all the time, being aware that most of the time the buyer that's sitting across from us, it's either their first time or they've done it significantly less time, so like being aware of their emotions.
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
Good. to keep in
And
mind.
also for newer agents, you have to remember that you do know more than that person you're with,
It's true. Mhm.
right? Even if it's your first deal, the classes you've been through, getting your license, you are more skilled at this than they are. 99% of the time. So always remember that. Let's see if anybody did a Zoom question. I just love Apple. Hold on. So now that we've overviewed the process, let's talk about how you prepare for the offer once your buyer chooses a home. To prepare for this Apple not wanting to click to the next page.
Getting fruit for a computer.
Listen, don't tell me.
I feel similar.
Yeah.
So before we write an offer, I'm gonna check to see if they have properties available before we go look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a pretty good list. Prepare to write an offer. So remember, it's your relationship with the listing agent began on first contact. If you've never worked with them before, this was likely when you made the appointment. When you contact them prior to writing the offer, you're building a positive working relationship. Be courteous and professional in all your inquiries. I would probably flip-flop that, be professional and courteous, right? Because sometimes, yeah, anyway. So what do you think that are some important things for sellers?
Figure out what they want.
What are important to sellers? Figuring out what they want, yeah. What are some other things important to sellers? Blurt them out in Zoom land.
Because everything someone's gonna say is gonna be about what they wanted.
Well, I mean, there's different things. There's time,
So different types of what they want.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, like how quick do they want to get out of the house? right? Do they need to stay after closing if it's a lot quicker than they anticipated the closing?
Type of financing or type of loan.
Right,
Whether they have to do closing costs for the buyer or not.
right. Concessions are gonna be asked, are there gonna be concessions? Especially now with, the new potential of 0% being on the loan, or excuse me, on the contract.
Are they selling in order to buy? Like, are they gonna be contingent to buy?
Yep, have they already bought,
Mhm.
Type of financing or kind of.
right? And these are all things that you need to figure out, and that'll help you make your offer. And I'll use James as an example for when I bought my house, because we had bought a house that was listed at 305. And we made an offer of 285 and got it in less than 24 hours. They said yes, because we knew that he was moving in with his fiance to get married.
Mhm.
And the house had been on the market for 30 or 40 days.
Motivated.
So we knew he was motivated.
Mhm.
We knew he had to get out because he'd already started moving out. Made an offer and it was a yes. So learning everything about the the seller that you can is only a benefit to your buyer.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts on?
It's like one of my favorite phone calls to make. It's to call a listing agent when I know that this buyer wants that house. Like, I love that. If
Yeah,
I can get the listing agent, I'm like, absolutely. It's like one of my favorite parts of what we do. Yeah.
As far as. From the listing agent side, when people are asking the questions to find that out,
Mhm.
what are the questions, all everything we just asked there or said there? As a listing agent, do I answer all that, or do I not show my hand on the plot?
well, they're gonna ask some things you won't show your hand on,
Mhm.
but there are some things that you'll want to and have to, but yeah.
So I was gonna say, like, if I answer all those questions, then you should basically just.
I'm done, you don't have to answer them, doesn't mean I'm not gonna ask them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, I
I
make,
just wanna know
Get on the
which
phone,
ones.
they'll start talking.
I was just wondering, cause I've been getting those questions too, and I've been in my head leery of what I answer and what I don't.
Right.
so
I
just
mean,
wanted to know.
Same.
yeah, there's things, and thing you want to really be careful of is getting in a great conversation with the buyer's agent and then talking to them, and you're liking them and you're buddies with them. What's your lowest offer? Or what's the lowest offer you'll take?
What's this gonna take to get done? Do I
Yeah.
have to come in at list or do I need to go a little bit
Yeah.
higher? What's going
Yeah,
on?
don't get hooked. No, because that's not what you want to do, but there are questions that you'll want to answer,
Yeah.
because one,
Yeah,
they're gonna help your seller as well, right? But you don't want to do anything at the detriment of your seller.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
cause I've had questions where I don't give details, but I'll give generic answers.
Yes, and that's fine.
Like, so like they would ask me, the one guy, he's not represented by anybody, so I'm trying to represent him
Mhm.
also.
Mhm.
But he was asking, the buyer coming to see the house today, he wanted to know about the offer, if it was higher or lower. And I wouldn't give him an exact answer, but I told him it was higher than listing price, and so at that point, he's like, you can't go higher, so.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But, so like, should I have not even answered that? Cause I didn't wanna waste anybody's time.
Well, no, I mean, you just help that person take his name out of the hat, so.
Instead of wasting people's time, I'm like, to me, I was like, I can tell them higher, but I'm not gonna give them the.
Right, yeah, exactly right. We're above asking.
Yep.
Even if it was $1, you were accurate.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah, but you also gotta think of things. Is email okay? Is DocuSign okay? Do we prefer text messages? Do we need to do wet contracts, wet signatures? You need to find all those things out up front. So am I gonna have to drive to South Bend 14 times to get this one contract signed? But you want to find those things. I know, we'll do it. But I'm not saying we won't, but we want to know that up front. We don't want to be sitting at our house at 10 o'clock at night. Okay, we'll make an offer. Yeah, but I gotta sign it.
Mhm.
I'll DocuSign it. I don't know how to open an email.
Mhm.
You
That's
know,
like the
I have a
appointment.
question.
It's like concept.
yes,
Before
Yes,
you
go
put
ahead.
an offer, do you guys like comp the property first, or you just go by, let's say it just got put on the market, you just offered like the listing price, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Um, how do you guys do that?
So you're asking, when you make an offer, do you personally walk the property, or is that what you're asking, or?
No, do you comp it? Like, do you do comparables
Oh,
first?
See if the price is pretty accurate, pretty close.
I mean, you could do that. At the end of the day, it's worth what the buyer's willing to pay for it. But I asked James when I bought my house, is it worth this money? And he said, yeah, I mean, it's probably worth the 305 listed. and I can probably get it for less. But yeah, it wouldn't hurt to comp the property, so you know that if it's priced right for you.
I think if anything, it'd be a good negotiation.
Mhm.
So at least when you offer less, you're not just doing it just to offer less. They understand why you did it, because you
Yeah.
did your research.
Yeah, that's wise. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
So you're, sorry,
hey,
Josh, I
Jamara.
didn't hear you. You said you do comp it?
If you comp it, it's good on negotiations for if you think it's not worth their listing price and you offer less. You have a reason that you can tell the agent why you offered less, so they don't think you're just lowballing them.
Yeah, like you
Lowballing,
could
yeah.
say, hey, I
Yeah.
did my own. And it came up a little bit short and I'd hate to offer this much and the appraisal not come for the, yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
no, that's
thank
wise.
you.
That's wise. You're welcome. Any other questions around that? Nope, no, nope. So any ahas in that short conversation? No, I think,
Laws that I'm actually going through, yes.
yes.
Not necessarily from the-
Yeah, yeah, any list they put on here, you read them and you think, yep, done that, and then you think, but I've also done this, I've also done this. Lists always double, they always double as you go. Okay, so let me, I gotta minimize my screen so I can see my notes. So now that we've gone over preparing to write an offer, let's go through the checklist for writing an offer. And then we'll go through an actual offer to be sure we know how to explain it to the buyer clients. Do we all have an offer checklist when you're writing an offer?
I don't know if I have a checklist, but Brian sent me a video or a thing, and it walks you through on like how to write the offer and the information you're gonna need.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that can be kind of checklist. You go through and get all the stuff you need before you start writing an offer.
Right.
So I'd say like a handful of things
Yeah.
that, and most of those things I feel like you probably already talked about in your buyer consult, as far as like earnest deposit, survey, or, you know, appraisal. At least if like we've touched on those things, so then it's not brand new.
Right. And it says here too, remember, do not submit a love letter with your offers.
Yeah.
And as a listing agent, do not present these to your sellers.
Sure. That has happened to me before. as a listener.
Love letters, for those of you that,
Trash.
don't know, are when a buyer client might write a letter of how much they love the house. They love it because of this, because of that, and they would love to, make their house their home, just like you made whatever, some way to try to appease the sellers into picking their offer. Problem is it could run into a lot of fair housing issues and we don't want that. So
Yeah, I had my last buyer was like, so someone that I know did this, and I'm like, so here's the thing, it's gone back and forth, but currently it's illegal due to fair housing, and she's like, oh, I didn't even think about that, and I'm like, so we're just not gonna do that.
Would it also be a version of coercion? Especially if someone's an emotional person and now you're just tugging on their heartstrings and they would have normally not hate or said yes, but since you kind
Yeah.
Just blame it on the law, that's what I did.
Could
It's
be,
fair housing
yeah.
violation.
Yeah.
It shows your value too, right?
Yeah.
Like, because if you're a buyer, you're thinking, what could go wrong there? And it's like, oh, we know things could go wrong there.
Fine, but you have the conversation with the listing agent, it's not the love letter, but you can actually say,
Mhm.
this is their situation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, all right, so I've got a really good pre-approved conventional buyer,
Yeah.
yeah.
of, well, speaking to the agents, different than speaking to the.
Yeah.
All right, and it has a note here that says NAR calls them liability letters.
Oh, that'd be a good way to.
Because so often they put yourself and your clients into a fair housing violation. And I don't think any of us want that. But writing an offer, we'll walk through the list out loud. You got price and terms, seller's disclosures, conveyances, another weird word, isn't it?
Yeah.
Earnest money, due diligence, inspection period, time for seller acceptance, financing terms, buyer pre-approval letter, closing date, home warranty, repair limits, special clauses, and addenda.
Stand up.
I like it.
Mhm. Yeah, we do a lot of things.
Well, you do a lot of things.
You list them all like that.
This is all part of your
I
value.
think you slow your-
Yeah. We're extremely
Yeah.
underpaid.
This is why you have to do a really good value proposition for your buyer
Mhm.
and your listing. We will have classes on that in May, by the way. 17th and the 24th,
Mhm.
buying consultation. Or listing consultation.
Cool.
when we're talking to people, can we just use paperwork, maybe, look at all the
Yes.
stuff we gotta do.
But that's exactly what your buyer presentation and your listing.
Like the fiduciary and functionary, I
Uh.
plan to like put that in my listing presentation and like just,
Yeah.
that's a great way of like showing your value as a
Bring
fiduciary.
this Ignite packet, and be like, this is everything that I have to
Yeah.
do to list your home.
All right, but when you do a listing presentation with somebody, you bring a packet like that.
Yeah,
And you walk through your client with it page by page.
yeah.
You know, and even if you have your copy like on an iPad or your phone or something you're swiping through, you give your client a copy so they can see it. And then the back, and then of course, the end of it's gonna be your contract, whether it's your listing contract or your, buyer agency agreement. But it's, so we're gonna walk through the entire contract as if you are my client, making sure that I'm setting the proper expectations with you. So get out the contract that I've given you. I haven't given you a contract, but we're talking to the client in this. So you're gonna walk them through the contracts. We don't just hand people a contract to sign and say, read it if you want to. Do not do that. That's why we had the NAR DOJ thing, because people were just docu-signing contracts and say, sign it, call me if you have any questions. We don't want to do that unless it's absolute, there's edge options, there's edge reasons for that. But the 99% of your deals, you need to be sitting at a table, talking to them about it, making sure they fully understand it before they sign a document. Does anybody disagree with that? Okay, I'm waiting just to make sure. If you're thinking of reasons to disagree with it right now, I can already tell. There's gonna be edge reasons that you're gonna have to do it. But when you do that, I would recommend a Zoom or a phone call to go through the document. Because if you Zoom it, you can screen share it.
They're deaf.
But well, they're reading.
Like I.
They don't hear you, so you're not going over with them.
Zoom will type out the words you say.
Hey, I was just trying to go over.
I got an answer. I like it. Stump with objections. I like it. I like it. So you talk to the officer, you review the contract. Be sure your buyer understands the contract. Right? Be sure. Review details like price, closing dates, inspections, contingencies, conveyances, etc. Know what is essential in your area. Know standard or common terms for offers in your area and avoid rookie agent mistakes. How do we do that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, if you don't know, ask.
With Brian.
Yeah.
Before you send it to
If you're not 100% sure on a question, you say, I'm not sure, but I will get you the answer. And if you need it quick, you say, do you mind if I step out and make a phone call? Do not, those words are not bad,
Mhm.
right? Don't make it up. It's not fake it till you make it. Nope. Get the answer and get it correctly. If they can wait a few minutes or wait a day, that's fine. If you need it now, call Brian. If Brian doesn't answer, call Lee. You can get that answer or shoot a group text out to somebody, say, who can answer this question? Because if you're in a situation where they're signing a contract, you want to know the answer, right? So definitely get that few minutes of waiting for an answer can save you a lot of trouble down the road, right? Any questions around that at all? No, so let me read through, make sure I covered everything in the notes.
more or less, an interjection. Be sure you understand, know the contract. When you're never gonna be sure, but they can tell you 5 times if they know what they do.
Right. And it's vital that you all do know the contract, like top, bottom, backwards and forwards. That's why I like Lee's weekly document classes on Wednesday are super important. Even if it's the Zoom one in the afternoon or the in-person one in the morning, come to them until you know it. And when I say know it, you could teach the document class. Because every time you sit with a client, you're teaching a document class.
Well, the listing that I just did, I heard from some member who told me now that they had their people's initial each page. Just to kind of cover anything that they didn't know about something.
Mhm.
So I think that might be helped to make sure they understand, hey, if you understand initial each page, not just at the end when you sign it.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And like you said, you want to be sure they know it. Be sure they know everything is going to be mandatory. Be sure they know and understand the waiting process, because when they're waiting for the appraisals or they're waiting for the inspections, they're calling you, is it done? You heard? Is it done? Make sure they understand and give grace. If it's going to be done in 24 hours, tell them 48 hours, just if it's possible. but stay within the terms of the contract. Does that make sense? Any questions around that? Any ahas from any of that? I know we didn't role play the offer, the offer or the contract because I wasn't prepared and didn't know I was gonna have it. So that's just my fault.
How was the love letter fair housing violation thing?
Yeah. And a lot of old school realtors are still trying to do it. So, and if you get one, I would let them know that this is not legal by NAR standards, so I will not be giving this letter to my seller. I would just tell them.
Do you know when they did away with that? Because when I started, people were still doing it.
That doesn't mean it was legal.
I don't know if it's true or not. I heard that it was in 22, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it used to be.
Yeah, it used to be like board by board, state by state, and then it became NAR. So, I know,
Everything we do should be not. National,
yeah, go ahead,
but it's way different.
yeah.
I don't know, after this lawsuit, I don't know if they have, no.
That's
I don't know, I think they protected us a lot, because if it did,
They might have, but there's big gaps in the fences. I'm not an attorney, so I have no idea if there's a reason they didn't, but there's gaps to me that never got addressed. That I think should have been addressed.
well, what would happen if they didn't do the settlement is,
I'm not even talking about the settlement, I just mean in court bringing things up. Like the fact that the very people that are suing took advantage of the fact that they didn't have to, when they bought their house, pay for it.
right, well, yeah, and,
You know what I mean?
It was,
Like, why was that not brought up?
yeah. Well, there was a lot that wasn't brought up in the original court. That's why, Gary actually hired the best appeal attorney. But what they found out is it's probably gonna be more costly to do that than it was gonna be to just settle, which at the end of the day, the settlement made us do what we should be doing anyway. The only really weird thing is the 0%, which we could have been offering anyway. That's not new, but it not being on the MLS anymore. And requiring a BAA, which our state decided to do that before the settlement. So,
Yeah, like, I'm not even meaning Gary and his attorneys, because that's kind of separate, that's from the NAR, right? It's
Right.
two different.
no, Gary hired it to handle the NAR situation. Gary hired
But I
the,
mean, didn't NAR, like, the NAR have their own,
at first, on the appeal, Gary hired the attorneys for the NAR appeal.
okay, for the appeal.
Yeah.
So on the original when NAR is being sued,
Right,
I feel like someone should have been like, you took advantage of this very same thing, you bought this house, you're suing them.
right.
But that was never brought up.
And the attorneys they hired took advantage of a set commission rate
Sure.
to charge
So,
us.
so that's what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
to my knowledge, it wasn't brought up.
Right,
So, come on, guys.
yeah. It's a money grab. Some people grab some money. But the benefit of the settlement is the fact that nobody can go backwards and sue you guys for anything. That is not true with every
Copycat
brokerage, right?
lawsuits.
But that's not true with a lot of brokerages. Like EXP, they're not protected.
They need to go down it.
That's not, we're not having that conversation in a recorded environment. But there's 87 brokerages in the country that do $2 billion or more nationwide that are not protected at the moment. Compass was another one. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, move on.
So they just didn't settle, is that?
They haven't settled. And now to be a part of the settlement, they have to write a much fatter check.
Sure.
Like Compass would have to write a check for $500 million. Right. That's exactly right. All right, so reeling back in. So now we've done all our prep work. We've written the offer. We've confirmed all the details with the client. You're ready to submit the offer to the listing agent. It's very important that you're very detailed on these offers, right? All right, so refer the participants to the guide and have them locate the present and offer checklist. Y'all got that up? There is a present and offer checklist. All right, we're gonna cover this at a high level because it tells me to. It says, do it. Do it. So, what's number one?
Pre-approval. Nope, that's 8, just kidding.
Double check all the documents.
Stacy's not doing an offer. She's not presenting an
Make
offer.
sure all the documents are included and they're all signed.
Yes.
filled in properly.
That's right. Double check all documents. Brad, what's number 2?
Search. On all listing agents.
Correct. Follow all instructions. Jesse, what's number 3?
Be sure all documents are labeled clearly.
Correct.
Consider document type, name of file, listing address, or some other form that makes it easy for the listing agent to keep in order.
That is correct. Perfect. Stacy, go backwards and go to number 4.
Order documents logically, whether it's sent as a single document or multiple documents.
Perfect. Now, do you, Leah, Jamira, Megan, do you have your participants guide?
Don't send it as.
I don't, sorry.
Hang on. What's that, Leah?
Is it on the? You were asking if we had the participants.
Oh, you're kind of chopping out a little bit, but yes, I was seeing if you had the participants guide. Do you have it? I don't know if you all have it or not.
I don't.
Megan does not. That's okay. We'll just keep reading. Josh, number 5.
Email summary, include an overview of the offer for the listing agent when you submit it. Keep away from personal information about your buyers. Check your coach and broker for any norms in your market.
Perfect. Brad?
Notify the listing agent that your offer is in their email. Remember, never send in unexpected or unannounced offer. If you're sending the offer late at night or early in the morning, set a reminder to yourself. Call or text at the earliest reasonable hour.
Yeah, so notifying the listing agent is very important for multiple reasons. Like what Brad said at the end of that is if you're doing an offer at 9 o'clock at night, you probably don't want to call the listing agent then, but you want to call them in the morning because they may not check their emails that late at night, right? So unless it's one of those where the offer time frame ends at midnight or something. But
10:30 last night, send a text. I'm like, I know it's late, sorry about that.
Aren't all offers written that late at night? I feel like mine always are.
But I don't expect to have an answer
Yeah.
until the morning.
and I will say, make sure your subject line is very clear so they don't just overlook it and let them know it might go to junk. So that's another reason to let them know. Jesse, what's the next one?
Be sure all
Hey,
documents. are
can I just
equal
share something?
Oh, please do.
So I actually submitted an offer last week. So I was being so polite. I did the offer because we didn't see the property until 7. I started like writing the offer at 8, didn't get done until probably 9 because it's like my second one. Till 9:30 and send it to my client. They didn't sign it, right away. They signed it in the morning. So I was being like polite, not texting like before 8 o'clock by the agent. Here, I sent it at 8:30 and they accepted the offer at 8 because I guess the other buyer submitted an offer that night and wanted an answer before 8 o'clock in the morning. I was so mad. Just sharing.
They wanted it before 8 in the morning.
They actually got an offer that night, and the other buyer, when they offered, they wanted the answer before 8 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't submit mine till like after 8 o'clock.
So because they were so aggressive and not really considerate, they took their offer.
I
Before
guess
yours?
because like I called them because we didn't see the property the night before because it's new. It just literally just got put on the market. So we saw it at 7 o'clock at night. And then I got home at around 8. We talked about it. They wanted to put an offer in. I didn't really get done with the offer till probably 9:30, and then I obviously called the other agent, the seller's agent, gave them a heads up that I'll be putting an offer in. So then I emailed, I did the purchase agreement, email it to my client, and then they ended up signing time in the morning. Since I knew, I called the agent and she knew that there's an offer coming, like being a new agent. I didn't know how all this works here, even though she knew that I was putting an offer in. I feel like at least she would have like said something like, hey, by the way, we have this offer and we have to answer them by 8 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So they ended up giving them the answer before 8, and I didn't actually send it till like after 8 o'clock.
Did they tell you they needed it before 8 o'clock in the morning?
No, I didn't know about it until after the fact. Because I sent the offer and she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we already accepted one before 8." But I talked to her
Did you ask if there were any offers?
Yeah, that would make me think they offered one for one of their own buyers.
Yep, that might be my first, you can ask.
Yeah, and you can find out too, but
Mhm.
yeah, I would, in a situation like that,
But
I
like
would,
this.
go ahead.
Mhm. Oh, I'm learning because I didn't realize, how fast all this stuff go. Because when we did another one before, like it's the same client where we saw property, they were interested in it, and I talked to the agent. I told them we'll probably be putting an offer in. At that time when I talked to them, there wasn't anything. Like this was, it was also like around in the evening. There's no offer. And then maybe an hour later, he texted me that, "Hey, we don't have the offer in hand, but we're gonna get an offer. We'll probably be answering tonight." Like literally, like this was at maybe 7:30 or 8, and they'll be wanting an answer, but by 10 o'clock is what he told me. And it's like I guess like you don't even have an offer in hand, but you're already like telling me that you need the answer by 10 o'clock. You see what I mean? Like I'm trying to like navigate, trying to like, I guess, be strategic now with my offer, but I didn't know how all that worked. Like I literally, you can put an
Usually
offer in
they
and
put
like,
a, well, usually they put a timeline on it, like, oh, we need all offers by this certain time. But at the end of the day, if there's no time restrictions on it, the sellers can accept any offer they want to. So what I'd advise you is when you're putting in an offer is I would always instruct your client, so we need to get this offer in as fast as possible. So I'm gonna drive home, I'm gonna write up the offer, and I'm gonna send it to you, and you'll need to sign it as soon as you get it. That's what I would do is an advice. I wouldn't tell them to wait on it. I wouldn't tell them to sleep on it. If you want to make an offer, we got to do it now.
to do it right
Bringing up
away.
the
Yeah.
pain point. This house is always good too.
Yeah.
If we wait, we know what happens.
Yeah, if you wait, you can lose it.
Mhm.
That's the advice I would always give.
If
Yeah,
you sleep on it, someone else is gonna sleep in
Yeah.
it.
I like that.
Where did you come up?
I am someone else.
I feel like that's the next shirt that needs. You sleep on it, someone else is gonna sleep on it.
All right, so Jesse said number 7 was add all documents to command. Is that what you said? Make sure we add them all to command. Yeah, so now you can do 8, Stacy.
Consult with your buyer as soon as the listing agent responds.
Yeah, so there you go. And that wasn't a fun consult Leah had to do. So we submitted the offer at 8:15 in the morning, and guess what?
Now, I'm assuming this kind of all started because we were talking about courtesies and things like that, and she was being courteous. Now, emails usually don't wake people up. Should she have like emailed it right away and then text them in the morning, would that have?
Yeah,
might have helped?
Yeah, I'd say send it.
Send
Are you
the
talking?
email right away.
Yeah,
But then maybe be courteous about the message in the morning, but at least that way, then if the email did check, or if the agent did check her email, it was there.
yeah. For the listing agent in this situation with Leah's buyer, I would probably text her that night and say, hey, I just sent my offer for signature. That's what I would have told her. Yeah, because
When I
she's got a listing with an offer.
I actually,
Go ahead.
so I called her on my, like, we did the house showing. I called her at like 7:45, 8 o'clock that, "Hey, I'll be putting this offer in for sure. Do you have any offer yet?" She said, "No, but we had a showing and they'll probably put an offer." And I said, "Will you let me know when you do?" Because I knew that this is going to be only my second offer that I'm writing and it's going to take me a while. So she
Mhm.
never gave me a heads up the night before. So then when I actually texted her in the morning around 8, maybe 8:15, 8:30, she was like, "Oh, sorry, we already put the off or we already accepted an offer before 8 because I guess they got it sometime the night before." But she never called me, she never texted me to give me a heads up. You see what I'm saying? Like, I guess,
Yeah.
like moving forward, I don't, I have to be more aggressive with all that stuff. I just didn't realize because I'm trying to be like her, I guess mindful of the time, like not texting at 10 o'clock at night, not texting at super early in the morning. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I see what you're saying. And in situations like that and making offers for your clients, is kind of where sometimes you gain a little more sense of urgency, if that makes sense. Particularly in a price point. If it's a $1.5 million house, wait till the morning. If it's a house that's in a hot price point, then you need to get it and go. Yeah.
If what she's thinking is right and say that the agent had her own buyer, she decided to circumvent everything for that, is that illegal?
No,
No.
because the
It's not
seller,
seller's best interest.
yeah,
That's what I was
Right.
thinking about, is it illegal?
Yeah.
Are you cutting off the seller's best interest just to get your?
sometimes, yes,
Yeah.
we can't really,
I don't know for sure.
yeah, you don't know that for sure.
Mhm.
Because the seller can accept any offer they want.
And if they have an offer, you can ask if it's in the same brokerage or the same team, and they have to answer.
Yeah.
So
Or you can
that-
look it
And
up. You can always look
also,
it up.
I guess with experience, when buying property in the past, like let's say we put an offer and I always give the buyer time or the seller some time to give me like time to respond. Like let's say you put the offer in at 8 o'clock at night. Okay, you have till noon or at least like a 24-hour. I guess, some people are so strategic and aggressive with their offer. Like we want answer at 7 o'clock in the morning. You see what I mean? So nothing else is, there's no competition. So
Yes. Yeah, yep. So the next one is receiving and reviewing the offer checklist. So I'm sure we have that in our book as well. The participant's guide, receive and review an offer. Again, really a lot of this, what it jumps down to is just paying attention to detail, right? And not skipping through things for your clients. You want to be very diligent, making sure all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, the blanks are filled. And if you have any questions or doubts, you call and ask, right? Even if it's the person making the offer, you need to call them. Are you sure it's, the house is 250,000. Why is your offer 25,000? Yeah, because maybe they forgot to hit a zero. We've seen it before,
Yeah.
right? Seen it, because they might have just typed it wrong, so you want to make sure and be 100% sure on all the offers.
Mhm.
So what do we got to do? We got to make sure the offer is complete. We got to confirm receipt of the offer. When you get it, you got to let the buyer's agent know, I've got the offer. I do have it. Get offer to the seller in a timely manner. You are supposed to show the seller all offers. Create an executive summary. You're going to call the buyer's agent. You call the lender if allowed in this area. Is that allowed in this area for this? Okay. To verify pre-approval letters. And then you're going to create an outline document to reference when you call the sellers. Does all that make sense? Pretty clear, understandable? It's just having your due diligence and having a checklist like what's in our participants guide is very important to follow it every time. Don't think, well, I've done this 5 times, I know it. Because the first time you do that is the first time you're going to miss something. Always that's your system, is your checklist. You can do it on paper, you can have it in command, however, the best way for you to do this is.
So I was gonna say, so essentially that's just notes for you when
Yes.
you're talking to them, you're not actually showing them.
Yeah, this is for you to make sure, okay, so like, you can have this in command, like when you drag your person into, receive and review, for example, because you can make your columns and your opportunity, whatever you want them to be. And then you can put a checklist, however you want that checklist to look, in each column. Does that make sense when I say that?
Yeah.
So when I drag him to, let's say, receive and review column, a new checklist will pop up like 0 out of 7. And then you'll go through and say, make sure the offer is complete, and you can check it, make sure I confirm receipt, got it, I've done that, check it. So you can do that. And then when you're done, you can slide it to the next column. Does that make sense? And then a new checklist will pop up in each column in command.
You just show me this.
Yes, we can. And then also with that, your command can send your clients emails as they go through each phase.
Bang, okay.
Also.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a whole class we'll have on.
Yeah, let's have that.
Yeah, so does that make sense? So you and your client should be focused on the terms of the offer also, not the people buying, right? Fair housing, don't care who's buying it. We focus on the terms and the money. It is a violation of federal law to discriminate against any of the protected classes, which is everybody. Everybody is, right?
So, and the big question,
Right.